All right, you want to know why I always say if you don't get Fox Business, demand it? Because if you didn't get it, this is what you were missing last night. Listen to this.
They're not billionaires and millionaires, but they're paying individual taxes. And if you want to lie, if you want to misrepresent, you'll call them millionaires and billionaires. But it's the job engine of America, and those are our customers, because they work hard and they come and they have disposable income, and they're the people that are creating all the jobs in America.
But do you think, Steve, that the president just doesn't like rich people?
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
Do you think the president doesn't like rich people?
I think there's a tremendous prejudice in this administration.
You know, the reaction was so explosive from my chat with casino giant and billionaire Steve Wynn last night. We just had to have him back on Fox News Channel today, and he was kind enough to accept our offer. Joining me again on the phone, Steve Wynn. Steve, very good to have you back. Thank you.
Hi, Neil. It's going to be a habit. I made a mistake yesterday that Ben Stein corrected. I said that the euro, a troubled
the
currency,
18%
appreciate. I meant to say 9 months, and I said a month.
Oh, so we were both wrong, because I thought you were talking about a year.
I meant to say 9 months. I said a month, and Ben Stein was right.
Okay. But he was wrong on the Bellagio. You had since gotten out of that. But
yeah,
you are the inspiration.
That was a practice hotel.
So I just told him off, because he was trying to second guess me. But I'll tell you what got the response that it did, and I've had this in prior interviews with you, but this one stood out, how frank you were about where we stood, because just as Vegas appears to be rebounding, and you said in many ways it is rebounding, you cut to the core what is the problem, the so-called fear factor out there, anxieties, not only in a market where real estate values are still soft, but the costs workers, a lot of them your workers are facing as a result. Could you elaborate on that a little, Steve?
Well, first of all, the only thing that we've done wrong in the last 2 years is to create another 5,000 or 6,000 jobs, a total of maybe 150 or 200,000 since I've been doing this in Las Vegas. We've created jobs for 150,000 people and their families. Now, and, we try, as we did last week, by giving cost of living increases to our employees and the staff, the line employees, and we did it in China as well a few months ago. But it's not enough to keep up with the plummeting, falling standard of living that everybody is experiencing. When I mention a currency like the euro, they say, well, what the hell? I don't care. I'm not buying a Mercedes. I'm shopping at home with dollars. Well, all of a sudden, Walmart's up, food's up, school's up, because the dollar is going to hell. And today, in our compressed time frame with a 24-hour news cycle and computers and everything else, time is compressed. The future becomes the present. Who would ever dream that Egypt would fall in a week? The possibilities of the future become the realities of the moment.
Well, what's your worry for this country now, Steve?
My worries are that before we control this administration, that we will have 16 or 17 trillion in debt. Right now, the Fed is falsely supporting a low interest rate by buying the auction bonds of the Treasury every month with other borrowed money.
Keeping rates artificially low.
That's right.
Right.
If you tried to have the Treasury auction of U.S. Treasury bonds without the support of the Fed, interest rates would not be where they are today. And America, instead of spending $350 or $400 billion of our $2.4 trillion in income, would be spending much more in interest expense. It could go to $800 or $900 billion.
Well, is that why you're looking increasingly to China and expanding abroad as you are? Is it your way of saying I'm losing confidence here, so I'm hedging my bets?
No. I had the opportunity in 2002 to go to Macau, a great privilege.
But you did.
Of course,
I mean,
you're
rapidly building that.
I didn't do it as a hedge. I did it as a business opportunity. It's been very fortuitous. It's been lucky that we were there because the income from China helped support Las Vegas.
Well, you can't do that. But you can't do that forever, right? I mean.
Well, I'm hoping, and we have signs that Las Vegas is recovering, and we have the kind of capital structure, because we're conservative, that allowed us to protect our workforce and our service standards, which is another subject altogether. But what I worry about is the gross irresponsibility of the government. If a businessman doesn't know his reach, It's one thing to be ambitious, but if a businessman doesn't know his reach, doesn't know the limits, then he's a reckless fool and he disappears. The only people that seem to be able to make unlimited amounts of statements that have no factual basis, promises that they cannot keep, seems to be the government. And for some reason, the electorate, all of us, have not held them responsibly enough. This last election was the beginning, I hope. But the fact of the matter is, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, anybody who's a middle-class working person in this country who's living on a paycheck is in serious trouble. And it's not about tomorrow, it's about today.
All right. Well, Steve, if you can hang on, and Pam, if you can hear me, I want to push this to the end of the segment with Steve, and I'd like to still bring Harvey here in the next segment. But what did you make of the president earlier on? Many argued had it out for Las Vegas when he criticized those who take conventions and the like to Vegas. And I know the Vegas mayor at the time bristled at that. Many of your colleagues in the industry bristled at that. Have the amends been made? Is the industry over that?
Let's be fair to the president. I'm tough enough on him, but when it's fair, it's fair. The president said he didn't want people taking TARP money to go on junkets to Las Vegas. Now, of course, before it circulated to 6 people, it got changed to where don't go to Las Vegas.
Right.
The unintended consequences, however, I'll give you an example. I won't mention the name of the company, but they had absolutely nothing to do with government support or TARP. I got a phone call. They had a $5.3 million piece of business booked with, hundreds of rooms for a convention. The chairman called and said, "I'm very sorry, but I don't want to appear to be reckless or profligate in view of the president's statement. So we're going to cancel. We're going to pay $3.6 million in the cancellation fee." Now that $5.3 million or $5.4 million worth of room revenue would have probably amounted to $10 or $12 million when you count the food, the beverage, the retail, and all the rest. Now here's a fellow that was intimidated by what he thought the president meant. So when presidents of the United States speak, their words are repeated over and over again, sometimes inaccurately. And so, in this case, I think it was probably unintended consequences, but it was tough on us out here.
Do you have any candidate you do like, the presidential crop that you see right now?
It's too soon for me. When I hear Christie speak, I'm a friend of Bloomberg's. I'm a friend of, I've certainly known Haley Barbour for a long time. I don't know Mitch Daniel. I've met Tim Pawlenty. There's a lot of very smart people around. I went to dinner last night in Los Angeles at Seder, and Eric Cantor was there with his family, and he's an extraordinary, intelligent, honest young man. I'm impressed with Paul Ryan. While the president and his minions vilify any attempt to straighten out America and act responsibly, I end up shouting at the television set. It's outrageous. The lies, the misrepresentations, the deliberate lies are incredible. And, you ask yourself, when will the American public have enough of this jazz that's being dealt to them? Haven't we got it yet that the politicians are hard to stop? Cantor and I were talking last night, and I said, every time it happens, it's always the same. We get to the 11th hour, and are you going to shut down the government? Are you going to be the one that makes children starve and all this stuff? And everybody blinks at the last minute. The fact of the matter is we've got $200 billion of income. We could pay the Social Security checks. We could pay the interest on our debt. We just couldn't borrow anymore. But until somebody in Washington is willing to throw down on the spending, the wild, reckless, irresponsible spending of this government, we are going to careen from one 11th hour emergency to a next, and nothing's going to change. So it's time, I think, for everybody, Democrat or Republican. And, I complain about Obama. I voted for him. Unfortunately, so.
Well, you call it like you see it. Steve Wynn, you ought to start speaking your mind more. That's just career advice. But,
if you'll stop calling me, then the people don't have to listen.
Touche. Steve Wynn, the casino mogul, the man really who many consider the father of modern Las Vegas. Very good having you, Steve. Thank you very much.